It's been a little while. Sit down. Good evening and welcome to the Grant County Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for November 6th, 2023. If you would, take a minute and please silence your cell phones. And if you would, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and be seated.
You want to watch that chair, that chair's a little tricky. That's the one I've been on the chair.
I fall out, pick me up. Okay, could we have a roll call for attendance, please?
Atkins,
Here.
Howe,
Yes.
Johnson, Jones,
Here.
Long,
Here.
Pearson,
Here.
Hartman.
Here. Okay, moving on to approval of minutes for October 2nd, 2023. Do we have any additions or corrections that we need to make?
I'll make a motion as they presented. To approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Mr. Long.
I'll second.
We have a motion to second by Mrs. Jones. Is there any discussion? Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Atkins.
Yes.
Howe.
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Motion passed. We have approval of findings of fact, JGB Real Estate. Now,
I think you pointed out what you had sent me.
yes, there was. Did you all get a handout? Okay. I sent in my findings of fact based on what you all had discussed as I remembered it in the meeting. And it's the second page of that little handout, numbers 1 through 4. And then you did a vote to deny the variance. So if you would, take a minute to look at those and then we can discuss those.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
also had a conversation with Mr. Glickfield on the finding.
Mhm.
And I wanted him to expound a little bit tonight on finding the facts, what we need to be seeing. A reminder that if they would file a lawsuit against us for that decision, you're finding the facts are what is our defense.
Correct.
So, you guys are ready for it, but I thought maybe he could explain a little bit better, what we need to see. in
Yeah.
finding facts.
I think we could move that up. It's on the agenda. Would you like to
Sure,
expound on that?
sure, happily. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but you're under the area of law called administrative law, like social security, workers' comp, BZA rulings. So what that means is when you issue an order, which is what your findings of facts are, in your particular case, your order is what's called a final appealable order. So if someone disagrees with that order, their remedy is then to appeal the decision and go to one of the courts, Superior or Circuit. It used to be Circuit. That might have changed. They might be able to go to any court. So when they appeal the decision, the first thing the judge is going to look at is your findings of fact. That's your order. That's like your court order. So according to the statute that's cited in 3674-918-5, which is listed on here, the statute actually has three categories that must be met. We have a fourth one on here, which is number 3, which is not in the statute. I don't know at what point when that got added, but I do think we have the right to add it. But 1, 2, and 4 are specifically listed by statute. So what that means is when you approve or deny, you have got to conclude that to deny one of these 4 is not present. In other words, one of these 4 is not met, then you can deny because all 4 need to be met. So what I think is helpful and what I used to do when I was a commissioner, we had these same forms. And as commissioners, we needed to do the same thing. Also, when I was on area plan, we always made notes under each one, which facts stuck out to us on number 1, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. What did we hear in the hearing that made us think that's okay or that's not okay? And then you do that for each one of them. And I think what would be really helpful is if everyone did that as the hearing was going on. And then it looks like Mr. Hartman went ahead and did it for everyone. But if he had everyone's thoughts, then he wouldn't have to go off his memory and try to recreate what happened at that hearing. So, so that's done then. And in this case, Mr. Hartman, it looks like took care of that. So what you will then do, you would then vote on that and whatever majority deny or approve to approve these findings of fact. That becomes our final order. And then if someone wants to appeal that decision, they go to court. And obviously we want the decision to be valid. So the more notes we have under each one of these on whether we approve or deny, it just makes our case that much stronger when we go to court. Does that make sense to everyone? Does that help? These are actually really important, especially if someone wants to appeal it, because this is the first thing the judge is going to look at.
They didn't have a course.
So I hope that helps.
Okay, is there
You
any
need a
further
motion to approve
discussion?
your findings of fact?
Well, if we're ready to close discussion and move forward with this, you want to discuss any of these points? I'm
No, I think
open to that.
Been there before, we discussed it previously when we had this issue, so
Yeah.
I think we're clear.
Okay, let's go ahead and someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve the finding of fact as written.
And do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Adkins and a second by Mrs. Jones. Would you give us a roll call, please?
Atkins,
Yes.
Howe,
Yeah.
Jones,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Okay, we have no old business or new business. And we've taken care of the discussion on findings of facts. And let's move on to reviewing our rules of procedure. Okay. All right. I took another look at these and went through them. And there was some things that we have to tidy up a little bit. And before we can move on, page 2. The board, midway down, the board may also require the owner of the parcel to make a written commitment concerning the use or development of that parcel for IC 3674-921. Now, we had removed that same phrase and in another place in our rules. Okay, so the question is, we don't actually do that. We do not require a written commitment concerning the use or development of a parcel when someone comes in for a variance or special exception. Now, what we normally do is put it in the motion. And that is a condition of the approval then. And we have done that. Now, I believe this is still in state code. At least when I checked on the state website in the past month, it was still there. So we do not have to remove it. I don't believe that it has been taken out by the state. So I think it is still possible that we could leave it in. We just need to decide on that. So is there any discussion on that? If we leave it in, that's a difficult point. If we put it in as a condition of approval, but someone doesn't want to sign a written commitment right then, what kind of a position does that put us in? Would we then not pass the petition? Do you have opinion on this, David?
Yeah, I was looking up the code. It says may, so you don't have to do it. I look at it maybe as a situation might arise where it might be helpful, but it's certainly not required because of the word may.
Mhm.
So I personally don't think it hurts anything to have that in there. I think if a special circumstance arises and you want that, you've got that language in your rules to cover you if you want to do that. So I personally don't think it hurts anything to have it in there myself.
Yeah, as you can see, the line right above, the board may impose reasonable conditions as
Yeah, which I
as
think
part
are
of any
important
approval.
to have. And I'm sure you probably
Yeah.
do that from time to time.
That one we do.
Right.
We have imposed conditions before.
Yeah.
But as far as making a written commitment and requiring that, I have not seen us take that step.
How would we know when to request that? That be an after the fact thing?
It's too late, isn't it? If
I would
you've
think-
already passed or denied or, yeah.
If you don't mind, I would think it might be something that if a special situation comes along, maybe the office might say, hey, we might want to get this writing. Maybe you're concerned that somebody's coming in and getting this. Maybe they don't end up doing it, but you've already granted it. I think it might probably be a rare circumstance, but I think it's something that you would decide, just as you decide what conditions to put on. Maybe after listening to the public speak, what their objections are, maybe something would come up that you might want this in writing from them, because it does bind them. If this is a commitment, you put that in your order that they've made this commitment. And so it is binding on them to follow through with whatever's in there, whatever's in that commitment. That's why I don't think it hurts to have it in there. And you would do it as part of, before you issue your order, probably put it in your findings of facts, whatever you find under the 4 terms, then add special under the part above reasonable conditions. And then if you decide it was necessary, attach that written commitment as an exhibit to the order.
I think it's one of those things where actually when it's occurring and we're discussing whether or not we want to make a condition of approval, that we would ask the petitioner, are you willing to sign a written commitment to do this condition of approval? And if they say no, then that may affect your decision. If they were to say, yes, certainly, then you could go ahead and move forward with your approval. And the office could draft that and get their signature on it.
Would that have to go through like an ordinance?
A what?
Like we've got a written commitment with the area plan commission. I've got to move that forward to the commissioners for approval. Would this be the same?
It's an order. I think it would be attached as an order, as part of the order here. So I wouldn't think so. No, I wouldn't think so.
As long as we're following the code.
Yeah.
I see code.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would still want to follow the one right above it as well. Okay.
Well, if we require that written commitment, then would we delay the persons that would want to be moving forward and have to come back to another meeting? Or would there be a form,
If we knew in advance, we'd be
It-
prepared.
and you had a form in the office?
Like a written agreement for the area plan commission. We've got one right now for the slaughterhouse out by Madison Grant. That is to them at this point, and they've got to fill it out, have it notarized, all that good stuff, and get it back to me so that I can certify it to the commissioners. But there's rezoning involved with that too, so that's why this wouldn't really be changing the ordinance, so it wouldn't be a legislative body thing.
If I may, I'll throw one more thing out there. I just checked, and that section actually has been repealed from the code. So it's something you probably still could do, but I don't want to say it's required by statute because it looks like it was repealed as of 2022, unless it came back in this year, which I can't speak on that either way. Maybe Mr. Hartman was looking at a very new version. But the most recent one I can find is 2022.
That was
Well-
in there prior, so I mean, that wasn't even one that we had highlighted at the last meeting, so that was in there when we started.
Well, yeah, that was the one we took out in another place.
Yeah.
Um,
So how
so-
long's that been in place? Many years? Can you tell when that was?
They don't have a date underneath of it.
Cause I had a 17 ordinance or statute. It wasn't in 17 either. And it wasn't in 22 version, so. Unless
We
it was,
took it out on page 1
yeah,
where it was in there before as 2.1.1.5.
David.
And we removed that. And I remember the committee thought that it had been removed. When I went back this last month,
Mhm.
I found that in there, which
Yeah.
I thought before that was gone.
So
So,
if
you
you
know,
wanted to keep it in, it's certainly not required anymore. I would certainly I would put a period after parcel if you wanted to keep in, but it's not required. So it's very much up to what you folks want to do.
But we can still do it whether it's in there or not.
Yeah, I think you can. I think, I think it's under the same lines as the part above. Same logic, excuse me.
Need a motion to remove it?
yeah, I think we need a motion either way.
Well, if you do impose a reasonable condition, when you do that, you're including that in the variance. And so therefore, the language there in written is already in written because it's part of the variance that we've agreed to.
I would say the vast majority of the time that would be correct.
Yeah.
And
That's
sufficient.
why I think this is a very, it would have to be an unusual situation for that to even come up.
I'd be in favor of getting rid of all the verbiage that we can get rid of.
Okay, we have a motion to remove the written commitment on page 2 by Mr. Howe. Do we have a second?
I'll say.
We have a second by Mrs. Jones. Any further discussion? We have a
Just
motion,
removing that,
The written,
the written
a
part.
written commitment, yes. Okay, may we have a roll call vote? No, we were doing these by simple, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I guess it's been a little while since we did this, huh? Okay, all right, we can check that one off. Down, one line down, 2.1.3. This has been changed from what it was previously. So we need to look at this and determine, do we want to accept this change? Okay, this. Yeah. Ryan changed this. It's slightly different than what we had in there before. It does follow state code. But we did not vote on this change before. This is the first time it's in there.
It was previously a long paragraph.
It was previously a long paragraph with some different wording.
but this is the state code.
That is state code. As I read through it.
That's a pretty simple decision then, I think.
So. Any discussion on that? Okay, this should normally go through our normal process, be presented as an amendment and be voted upon. Okay. Is there any further discussion? Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion to approve this change. Do we have a second? By Mr. Howe.
I'll second that motion.
We have a second by Mr. Pearson. Any further discussion? Can we have a roll call vote? Oh, sorry, again, it's not normal, but let's go. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that passed as well. Now, we have made a few changes on this page and our normal process, we were taking a roll call vote for the page in its entirety. Can we have a roll call vote? Thank you.
Atkins.
Yes.
Howe,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Okay, that page is passed.
Second.
Okay, page 3. Midway down, 3.1.3, we missed the word any plan commission member. Should say any BZA member receiving a majority of votes shall be elected chairperson.
Sorry, where are you at?
3.1.3, third line,
Okay.
okay?
They may have the corrected ones.
Yeah, that's
that
the-
You may have the corrected.
Yeah, what
Okay,
you and I went through and did. I
All
think
right.
is what Brenda did.
okay, so,
Zoning member.
yeah, all we need is a roll call. All we need is a motion to approve that change since we didn't vote on it before.
So moved to make change to 3.1.3.
Okay, do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Atkins and a second by Mrs. Jones. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. Don't have any other changes on this page. Let's have a roll call vote to approve page 3.
Atkins.
Yes.
Howe,
Yes.
say no.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Jones,
Yes.
Long,
Yay.
Pearson.
Yes.
Appreciate it. I'm kind of that.
Okay, that page is cleared. Okay, page 4, board staff, 3.3 board staff. At the end of it, it refers to IC 36749919. And this that doesn't fit. We need to probably remove that reference. This, the paragraph talks about the staff, including designating attorney, shall serve as staff to the board, and director shall be designated executive of the staff. Director shall be delegated authority to perform administrative acts in cases except where final action of the board is necessary. The executive director shall be responsible for keeping an accurate record of all board proceedings, including the keeping of the records of minutes and the custody and preservation of all papers and documents of the board, the maintenance of a current roster and qualifications of members and record of attendance shall provide the board with information pursuant to IC 36749919. That's I don't know. It doesn't apply there. Not in that section. So. We need to actually vote on removing that 36749919 since it's the wrong site there. I don't.
And move it where?
Oh, just remove it.
Oh, just remove
Just,
it.
yeah.
So what you're saying is the reference, the information pursuant to that Indiana code.
Yeah, this section 919 talks about an appeal to the BZA, which that really didn't fly in the previous paragraph. So I'm just saying, okay, the rule is all fine here as it's written, but the site of 3674-919 is
Just put a period after it.
incorrect, which we should need to take it out.
Okay.
Okay.
Need a motion?
Yeah, I need a motion.
Make a motion that, or I make the motion that we remove IC 36-7-4-919. Where do you want your period?
I think after information.
Word of information, period.
Yeah. Now, do we have a second? We have a motion from Mr. Atkins,
I'll second.
and we have a second from Mrs. Jones. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. That concludes the changes on page 4. Can we have a roll call vote to approve page 4?
Atkins?
Yes.
Howe?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Okay, page 4 is set aside. Okay, page 5. 5.1 application. First line, all petitions not initiated by the board shall require application with the Board of Zoning Appeals staff. It says from, we changed that to with.
And that's on ours.
And yours is already corrected here. Okay. And second line, 21 days, we had specified 3 weeks. Okay, and the example that we had talked about is sometimes there's confusion when you just say days. People are wondering, is it calendar days? Is it business days? What is it? But when you say weeks, that's non-confusing, so to speak, more definite. Okay, and that was the reason for that change that we'd made.
So we're changing 21 days to 3 weeks.
3 weeks was what we had in there. Okay. And then another little change was at the top of the page, 4.3 executive session. The Indiana Code site is 5-14-1.5-6.1. Okay, now. We need a motion on the 6.1 to correct that. Would anyone like to make a motion on that change at the top of page 5, changing the site to, at the end, 6.1?
I'll make a motion to.
We have a motion from Mr. Pearson. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Mrs. Jones. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, we'll check that one off. Um, Need a motion to correct those small typos in paragraph 5.1.1 from to with, and 3 weeks. And it's already corrected in your,
I'll make that
Copy.
motion.
we have a motion from Mr. Atkins for that change. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Mrs. Jones. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. All right, then we need a roll call vote to approve page 5.
Atkins?
Yes.
Howe?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Okay, page 5 is complete. Page 6, nothing there. Unless anybody found anything else. If you found anything else, chime in at any point. Page 8 just has a little typo that in the, and it's fixed in your copy. But we had never fixed it before, so we need to approve it. And it is on the third line, and his, or her. And his was in twice in the previous version that we did not see and fix. So
Where you at, Ed?
it's on 6.3.4, the third line, and your copy is corrected. It only has and his in there one time now. I called that one in.
Okay.
So but it was in our original, we approved this page, so we need to make a motion to remove the one and his, just a typing error. Do we have a motion to correct?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Howe. Do we have a second?
Second?
By Mr. Atkins. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Believe that's all the changes on page 8. We have a roll call vote to approve page 8.
Atkins?
Yes.
Howe?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Okay, page 8 is done away with. Page 9 is corrected on your sheet. On mine, it said open public discussion. So we wanted that to be open public comment. We need a motion to make that change. This is 6.5.6.
I'll make the motion to make that change to 6.5.6.
Okay, Mr. Atkins. For a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Jones. For second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, so then page 9. That's all we found. Can we have a roll call vote to make an approval of page 9?
Atkins?
Yes.
Howe?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Okay, page 9 is complete. Okay. Page 10. Okay. 6.6.10, middle of the page. Bottom of that paragraph. It is corrected on your copy now. At the beginning of the line, it reads, item is agreed to, and it said be a majority, but it is by a majority. So we're correcting that typo in the previous version. So we need a little motion to make that correction.
Motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Pearson.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Adkins. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, I believe that's all the changes on page 10. Can we have a roll call vote for page 10?
Atkins?
Yes.
Howe?
Yes.
Jones?
Yeah.
Long?
Yeah.
Pearson?
Yes.
Okay, page 10 is complete. Nothing on page 11. Page 12. It is now corrected. 7.2.21, last line, Board of Zoning Appeals was Plan Commission. So we need to have a motion to make that correction.
So move to make that correction to 7.2.2.1.
We have a motion by Mr. Adkins. We have a second. We have a second by Mr. Pearson. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, can we have a roll call vote for page 12?
Atkins?
Yes.
Howe?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Okay, page 12 is complete. Page 13. Seven, 4, 2, small typo in the third line, used to say format record. T was changed to an L, making it now formal record. We need a motion to approve that correction.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mrs. Jones. We have a second by Mr. Pearson. All in favor, say aye. No other corrections found on page 13. Can we have a roll call vote for page 13?
Atkins?
Yes.
Howe?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Page 13 is completed. No corrections on page 14. Anything else from the board members on this? If not,
You promised us last time we'll have to look at this.
uh,
Only in reference.
believe me, I'm ready to be done with this, but of course, there'll be a final document and there'll be a final quick review. Well, maybe it's not that quick, but there'll be a final review and then we can complete this project. And, okay, thank you for going through it all with us. Very good. At this time, we have completed our agenda. Does the board have any other business they'd like to discuss? Okay, if no other business amongst the board, we have a time for open public forum. So anyone from the public may address the BZA and speak on questions or concerns that they have. Normally, it has to apply to what we do. That's very helpful. Okay? Otherwise, we can't help. All right. So at this time, we'll open this up. If anyone would like to speak to us, please come up, state your name, and sign in at the podium.
Name's Jerry Soltz. I don't know if this is a time to some questions I have, if this is a place or not, but
Well, we'll find out.
I'll get started here.
You're certainly allowed to come and speak. At this time, you have the floor,
Okay,
and generally speaking, you address me, and then we'll proceed that way. And
Okay.
At this time, no one from the audience is allowed to discuss anything you're discussing. It's your time.
okay. Well, there's some concerns about the zoning appeal on some property in Fairmount, the variance. It was tabled in September or something, I don't remember, but since then, there's been some other actions as it happened that the area plan has been involved with on the property and different things. Different things have transpired that there was some stuff said that by the area plan, by Mr. Malott, that the surveyor was there and helped him put lines and stuff down to determine different things. The surveyor was not there. Mr. Malott was there with the town, people from the town of Fairmount, Mr. Gossett, and there was somebody else, I don't know for sure who it was, that painted lines. Then they told us, then eventually we get a letter that says we have to move our rocks because they're in the property line, over the property line. Well, the lines that were down were not put by a surveyor. The town had removed our survey stakes in the front of the property, so they didn't know for sure where the alley was at. It'd been replaced, but where the drawings show that our rocks were in the alley were not proper according to the surveys. Now, there's been an issue with this property all along. But we were told to get a survey and they wouldn't approve the survey. They need to get another survey. And they just keep pushing it around. We got a letter, a certified letter on our front porch while we were out of town, telling us we had 5 days to move these rocks because they were in the alley with a picture. Well, I'd been in a hospital and we were out of town. I got back and it's on the front porch in the rain. And we opened it up. There's no pictures, but it says we got 5 days to move it because they're in the alley. Well, surveyor was out of town, couldn't find out. Then we find out when he comes back, his surveyor was there today and the lines weren't correct. But the town has moved our boulders 2 feet since then because they're going to take some trees down, supposedly unbeknownst to us. And my question is, one of the questions is, how much authority does Mr. Lott and his group have? Are they surveyors? Can they detect property lines and put down survey lines and say this is what's right and what's not? Or why do we have surveyors that we pay to do this stuff? and put the marks in. And it's just been a push and shove for quite a while. It's time for it to end. But the property in question is still either on the property line or over the property line into the alley. But I keep getting different comments and stuff and pictures from the area plan office that says it's not. It's from a surveyor. And the surveyor does not agree that he had any part of that. So, like I said, I don't know if it's the BZA board that I need to talk to, or if I need to talk to area plan commission, or who, to find out what kind of authority. Does Mr. Lamont have authority to go on somebody's private property and do stuff? We started to put up a fence, and we were told that there's no setbacks or anything, and we could put it up as long as it's on our property. First day, Mr. Malott sends somebody over, and Nicole Bailey comes over and puts a stop work order on our fence. It's on our property, but put a stop order. And the week before, we were told he had no control over it, it was up to the town. If he has no control over it, how can he put a stop order on my fence, our fence, and make us stop and let all the work go on the house next door? That's not correct. I mean, I
think that kind of boils down to the fact is, Mr. Whitfield needs to address his problems.
I think you're correct.
Yes, and that.
I can't hear what she said.
What I'm saying is, I think Mr. Glickfield, our attorney, he needs to address your problem because, for far as Mr. Malott is concerned, I don't know if that's in his, is that classification as of his job to do that? He's not a surveyor, so therefore he should not be putting down any lines,
Well,
doing the job of a
Mike,
surveyor.
can I respond first?
No,
Just a minute.
okay,
please.
hold on.
Please.
Hold on. So
Hold on.
we don't want him doing a surveyor's job if he's not a certified surveyor. And that's correct.
There is a question here.
Yes.
There was a third person you say that was there, but you don't know who it was?
Mhm.
It was a town employee.
It was a Town employee.
Surveyor.
Okay, now,
I talked to the surveyor today and he said he wasn't there.
okay, just a second, please. Who was the surveyor? You were there?
It was a member of Randall Miller's. Here's the email. Ryan, we marked the alley for the city. We recorded both surveys. So both your survey and her survey were corrected and re-recorded. That is directly from Randall Miller.
Okay. Now,
Okay, so,
So they.
but he was not there.
But
Randall wasn't there. His associate was.
He had someone else. Do we know who that person is?
This is what he
Okay.
sent me.
Yeah, we had this.
Yeah.
We had a public hearing on this, remember, and we tabled it. Lisa Craig's house
mhm,
Got- I
next to
got,
the alley.
I got another question.
Yes,
Randall Miller told me he was not there. I was talking to one of his employees, a guy named Ryan that works for him. And he said, I was over there, but I was not there when they put the lines down. And he said, I did not approve anything. I didn't do anything to there. He said, I talked to Mrs. Craig, but I did not talk to Mr. Malott or anybody else.
okay.
Now,
Do we have documentation from the surveyor saying whether he was there, who we sent there? And if we had that, we could,
I talked to Mr. Miller.
mhm,
And he's a busy person. He tells you that he'll be there and then he doesn't. He sends one of his associates. And
mhm,
then he tells you, well, he told me they did a survey back in October on Lisa Craig's property, but he can't find it.
okay,
And there is no survey recorded or anything back then.
okay.
There is no recorded survey for lot 309 North Main.
Okay, so,
But our survey has been recorded. Now they're trying to tell me they might try to change it. Mr. Malott somebody made a suggestion that the town might give her 6 more inches of property, so she's inside the property line. Well, this should have never got this far if the area plan would have done their inspections and done the stuff properly to start with. The permit was first issued with no drawing, no sketch. I went into the area plan office in April and asked about it. And they said, oh my gosh, that shouldn't have been issued. A certain guy issued that and he's on suspension now, but there's no sketches. And then mysteriously, 2 or 3 days later, I go back and they show me a sketch that's part of the permit, but the sketch has nothing, it's not even correct because the sketch shows it 7 feet off the property line running parallel with the alley. And indeed, the house is within 3 inches of the alley, 3 or 4 inches of the alley, and then their deck was past it. And it should have never gotten that far.
Okay.
But it just kept going on and on and on, and it just keeps, it keeps snowballing. And
Well, my issue is the fact is that,
Uh,
my issue is the fact is that if Mr. Malat is doing the job of a surveyor, that's my issue.
No.
He's not a certified surveyor.
I didn't.
His
certify
job,
nothing.
okay, well,
I did not. No,
okay,
sir.
we're gonna wait. And we're gonna make sure that he's doing his job as the director and the qualification that come with that. Not a surveyor, not a line drawer, but we want Mr. Glitfield to jump in there and give some kind of legal.
I
Information to you.
understand that, and
Yeah.
that's one of my questions. Because I have a field camera over there, because there's been several issues.
Mhm.
And the day in question, Mr. Mott was there, Ryan Gossett was there, another guy from the city, and the surveyor was not there when they were there. The surveyor walked in later, and because I didn't even know who he was until today, I went to Randy Miller's office. And I said, oh, are you Ryan? He said, yeah. I said, did you go over and help Malott and him put the marks down on that property over there? And he said, no. He said, the marks were painted, lines were painted when I got over there. So it's he said, she said, but Ryan today in the office said he did not talk to Ryan Malott. He talked to the owner, but he didn't talk to them and he didn't help put the lines down. They were there when he got there. Now, the lines in question that they're showing me, it shows my property was off. It came from the police department after Mr. Lott was over there. And I finally got a copy of the survey that the town had
Mhm.
by Mr. Ashton. I'd like to send this picture around if I can.
Yes,
Mhm.
go ahead.
I got this from the police department today, along with a copy of the letter. It was never certified and delivered to me. It shows this stake and one back in the middle was not put in by a surveyor. They were put in by somebody else, and they're 3 or 4 inches south of our actual property line. When I found the survey stakes today.
Okay.
The line was down, when the line was there, that's one of the other problems.
Okay.
It's 3 or 4 inches south of or north of our property line on the
No.
south side.
Now, do you have the original plat that shows your property line? That should be here in the record. It should be here in the recorder's office, that the original plat that shows your property line.
Yeah, I've got it. I showed it a couple of weeks ago when I was here.
And this.
Who's throwing the string?
Yeah, who's doing?
They were there in the morning with Ryan Gossett. They painted it up. I was on my way over there, but Joanne called me and said she wanted me over there. I got over there with Ryan and we went up and down. We took pictures up and down the alley. Randy Miller
That's same rock.
emailed me and said, we marked the alley for the city. This is from Randall Miller. I will re-record both surveys. Sorry about the confusion, Rand.
Now, do they have documentation of him doing the survey? Where's that
Yeah,
at?
I've got three surveys.
And he has.
Yeah, would you
have
pass
the
those
original
surveys
For your
around?
property.
Send it there.
I was after this property. And why are they continuing to work on that property when they're?
Here's a copy of the survey foundation.
Okay.
$500
Why are they continuing to work on that property, on their property?
Shows,
Pardon me?
shows the property, shows the alley.
It's already.
Okay,
So they wanted to get a variance.
okay. But when I was out there were some people working, construction. So why are they continuing to work on the porch or whatever until we get this issue straightened out? So,
This may still be there. It's too many still.
I have another question, Ryan. Why are these people continuing to be able to work on this porch or whatever it is until we get this issue straightened out? Why are they continuing to work? I was out there and they were working on that porch or whatever it was, and they were doing it, and they were continuing. And if you've got this issue here, they shouldn't be doing anything until you get this issue stopped or find out what's going on here.
Well, they were about half of the way done when this became an issue, if you'll remember. They had moved to this bill.
Have they came in, did they come in before they start building?
Well, if the survey is correct and it's all on its own property line, the property to begin with is considered non-conforming, which is allowed to add on to. If they're within the property line, we see it as non-conforming legal.
Okay.
The town board agreed with the latest survey and the correction that got sent in. So we issued a temporary cube. Once we had the measurements done, we issued the final. So they've got a certificate of occupancy.
No. That's kind of funny because when I talked to the town marshal today, he said it's still an ongoing issue. And John Treon did not tell me that it was final. So
They consider the matter closed. Right now, they are dealing with the right of way issue. And that is the earmark.
So did Miller come back and move his survey over?
no, they're not. Somebody moved them 2 feet. Somebody moved them
We did.
inside our property. That's what I say. I don't know, but somebody did. Somebody did.
It was an area plan.
See,
Well,
steps there and then.
It's according to area plan, they were 3 inches over the property line and they're moved before anybody knows whether the hell they were or not.
According to what Fairmount told me, they sent me 2 certified letters, and when they got no response to it, they got the marshal.
Yes.
That was on the town board meeting.
I just talked to the town marshal and he said the first one's lost. Because nobody was fine for it. I talked to him today and he said, the second one, you don't know where it's at. And I said, I do know where it's at. I said, somebody put it on my front porch when I was on vacation. And I come back and sitting there in the rain and I find it on Tuesday morning. I get ready to dress it. My surveyor's out of town.
The plat show would show.
You're right, non-conforming because I didn't get it.
So.
I mean, it's like I told him, I'm not hiding from anybody. Everyone's got my telephone number. Everybody wants to call me and talk to me about anything. I'll talk to them. I'm not gonna play hide and seek with anybody over any damn thing.
Somebody else's property to do what.
I've always been that way.
Yeah, I came down to.
Right or wrong.
Okay.
That porch is open.
I have a
That's what
question.
I'm saying.
On your northeast corner, point 1 is listed as a hollow pipe. And it's in good condition at grade. Have you located that spot? Northeast corner.
Can I come back there and look at that copy? Which one are you
Yeah,
looking
I'm
at?
looking at the Ashton survey.
Just a minute. I think I've got another copy right here.
Okay, it's a less than 90-degree angle between
No, I didn't.
streets. And it's point number 1 there. it lists as a hollow, that would be pipe, in good condition.
Now, what are you saying, number two?
Yep, number 1.1, it's on the corner of your property
Number one
northeast.
was found, yes.
Okay, how about number 11? It's listed as rebar, good condition, at grade.
Yes,
Number 11 on the
northeast corner.
northwest corner.
Correct,
Both of those are locatable.
yes.
So then you could actually run a line from one of those to the other.
Yeah.
And your boundary line here on the west shows a distance of 132 feet. And it shows that on both surveys. That doesn't seem to be in dispute. So even if this pin is gone here on the south corners, if they're gone, but let's assume that they're there still. 2, you said may be gone because of the work that was done there. Number 2 was on the southeast corner of your property. Number 5 may still be there. That's in the middle of your property on the south. Okay. Number 6, still there or not? Number 6 is a mag spike.
We found number 6 today. Well, I had the surveyor back over there good today.
Okay.
And we located all of them and they're correct where they need to be now. But when whoever put these lines down, number 2, they couldn't find number 2 apparently. And they went about 4 inches on our property line. And they started painting an orange line down through here that doesn't follow any damn thing.
Okay. So,
And that's how they decided that, they sent me a letter, 2 certified letters, I guess. The second one, the postmaster or somebody took the thing off the back of it. I didn't sign for it, and they just put it on my front porch. We don't
Okay.
use the front porch, but anyhow, we found it.
yes. So anyway, number 6 and 5 still being there give you a good point of reference for where the alley is. And measuring down 132 feet from the north property line, which you could establish by those 2 pins on the north,
We did.
132 feet down would give you the location of where that spike number 2 should be, even though it's not there any longer, you say. And that should be able then to line up those 3 points and definitely say where the alley is. The alley is to be 10 feet wide. So you can measure across and establish the line on the other side as well of the alley.
That was done. That was done again today.
Okay, so and the surveyor was there, you say, where did this end up?
Sprayer was there today and showed me where my marks are
Mhm.
and where my rocks were. When they moved them, I can't see that they were inside the property line, but I don't know for sure because they've been moved. The only thing I could find was an orange line painted 3 or 4 inches north of my, where the survey stake was back in, that the surveyor put back in. And so part of the question is also, if area plan doesn't have any control over that alley or the right of way of the alley, it belongs to the town. Why did somebody put a stop order on my fence, our fence, and make us stop and let everything continue on next door? When they knew there were issues both places, but they decided, and I was told by the area plan earlier that he wouldn't want us to do it, but he had no control, it belonged to the town. Then after we start putting a fence up, they run right over there and put a stop order on it. Now, somebody's taken the stop order down, I don't know who, but my posts are still inside my property line.
Mhm. Okay, now, the setback from the alley should be 7 feet, as we've heard. Okay, right?
Fine. We thought it was 7. We thought there
We
was
thought it was
7
7, but now it's 5. Are we sure?
Yeah.
Okay, it's 5. Okay, so that's for a structure.
Yeah,
Right.
they projected 7 foot off and required it was 5.
Okay. And the requirement is 5.
Right.
Okay, so,
That's Fairmount code? Like feet?
That's
Or
our,
your?
that's us. That's us figuring it out.
okay, now, is there any setback for a fence?
It is generally 2 foot off. Doesn't, 6 foot or less doesn't require a permit.
6 foot or less in height?
Doesn't require a permit. We generally ask that it be 2 foot off the property line. One of the reasons that we have here is we basically choked an alley and created a safety issue.
So we ask? We
We
don't
had
have a requirement. We don't have a requirement for 2 feet for a fence?
Yes.
We
In
do,
our yards and setbacks, we ask that it be 2 foot off property lines.
because I mean, people build fences on the property line.
And we just went through and did a new ordinance
All over the
on
place.
setbacks that was not even a year ago, as far as encroaching
Just,
on into the right of way.
Okay, so
Over rocks.
Yeah.
On another property.
now the 10 feet includes the right of way in this alley, is that correct?
Right.
Okay, and so the fence should be 2 feet from the right of way is.
Yeah.
Is
In
the
this,
thought-
in this case, Mr. Soltz had put a truck, a trailer, and started putting fence posts up so that there was no way to get a fire truck, an ambulance, or any kind of emergency vehicle down the alley.
Well, frequently housing divisions are built with no alley at all. And emergency equipment uses the road. So I'm not sure that that's a big problem, but a 2 feet setback, if that's a requirement, sounds reasonable. But I mean, fire trucks, a lot of times they use the road, right? In a housing division that has no alley, they got to use the road. So
You can't.
I'm not sure what,
David, do you know by law, can you block alleyways off so that emergency vehicles can't access?
Not.
Thank you.
now, can you drive down a 10-foot alley?
Yeah,
Apparently we think so because we set it
Yeah,
up with
but-
that right away.
but when we've got it down to about 7 foot with rocks poking out into it, it makes it a little bit more difficult.
Down to 7 foot, really?
I didn't measure. It was to the point I couldn't get my truck in there without hitting the sign.
Yeah. Okay, so there's an
the
issue, it
reason
sounds like on the south side then as well.
the reason it's down to 7 feet is because there's 2 trees
that are
in that
the-
alley also.
Yeah,
And when all this was going on, Craig's contractor had a hole dug beside her house, sticking out into the alley about 3 feet, about 3 or 4 feet deep, and they left it forever until they ended up getting their sewer and stuff hooked up. I don't know for sure, but it was left an open hole there, and that choked the alley down too. And the reason we put trucks on that, on our property line was they told us to get it surveyed. We did. And then we put up temporary stakes and the contractor and everybody just kept running over them, kept driving over on the property anyhow. So yes, we took some vehicles over there and parked them, licensed vehicles, and parked them on our property line. Then
Town of Fairmount.
there's no ordinances and the town says they do not have an ordinance on fence setbacks or stuff setback on their alley. There are no setbacks.
Can't come
They're-
from.
they're-
Now, if there is now,
the alley.
it's,
You can't.
it's unbeknownst to me. Mr. Lott said he would like for it to be 2 feet, but it's not,
Even if I-
it doesn't have to be.
I'd have to pay.
So him liking and what actually happens, has to happen is 2 different things. I mean, there's a lot of things I'd like to have done too that don't happen. But you have to go with what's fair for everybody and not just some people.
yeah, obviously we have an unusual situation when you have a house that has been there a long time, right at the edge of an alley. That is unusual. But that's the situation you're dealt with. And the alley and the right of way is set up for 10 feet. Now, the part about the line changing, I understand your concern. And if you want to appeal this decision to the BZA, you would need to fill out the form that the area plan office has. And you could bring that appeal
Did,
to us.
did the BZA approve the setback for her property? It's never come
No,
before,
we tabled that.
it was tabled, yeah.
Yes.
And that's,
But understand it's Fairmount, the town of Fairmount right now that he's dealing with, not us.
Well, we need to discuss that a little more in that the variance for that building, we need to complete that work. Because we said when we tabled it, if the property line was no longer in dispute and not a problem, then we could hear a petition for the variance, finish it. She's already put one on file.
If it was with.
Hold on, I'm speaking. We would finish that variance because now the setback is 5 feet. According to the way I read the code, the variance, we could go down to 2.5 feet without a variance. But the setback is 5 feet, not 4 inches, not 6 inches. The setback doesn't change when you build on a non-conforming structure. Not the way I read it. Now, if somebody else, Mr. Glickfield, if you feel that that's an error, then we probably need to talk about that.
If he's
I'll have to look at it.
change of the house
I think
and they're trying to.
we would have to give a
grandfather that in.
variance
See, that's another issue.
for her to be in good standing on that property, just a few
They just
inches
can't
off of
change
new
it, 'cause the
construction.
house is old and they're updating it.
I
They
think
can
that could
just
be a
go
problem.
through where the grandfather
We'll have
issue
to,
part
again,
is, and
we'll
that's all.
need to discuss it because as far as non-conforming structures go, it doesn't ask for the BCA's recommendation.
The BZA wouldn't make a recommendation.
Right.
The
The
BZA would
office.
either approve a variance or deny a variance.
And the office can determine non-conforming legal.
What's that?
The office can determine non-conforming legal structures.
Well, that decision could be appealed as
Mhm.
well.
But it has
By
nothing to
this
do with his
gentleman.
right of way.
What's that?
It has nothing to do with his right of way.
Okay, we
That-
also
that's
need
fair.
documentation that
Mhm.
the right of way and the variance for a fence is 2 feet.
Mm.
And we need to get the property line settled before we get into it anymore at all.
Mhm.
So
Not our issue.
it's not my issue on the property line.
I-
But it is our issue if you want to appeal decisions made by the office.
okay,
Mhm.
by,
Okay.
by the area plan office.
By the area plan office.
Okay, where do I get those petitions?
He'll give you the form.
Okay,
Okay.
not like he sent me the letter telling me that it was going to petition. He was gonna try to get a revariance, the zoning revariance that they did. I never received. Never received a letter telling me that it was getting a property trying to get a variance on a property. I never got anything in the mail.
Part of those are ours.
Huh?
Part of those are ours.
Which part?
We have 3 surveys in there.
I don't know.
Mr. President, can we clear up the survey issue real quick?
I don't know if we can, but I'm willing to try.
This is not.
It'll take me about 30 seconds.
Okay.
We absolutely should not be in surveys. It sounds like we did not do a survey. We should not be marking out. Let's let the surveyor do all that.
Yeah.
Let's leave all that up to them
Yeah. Mhm.
for these exact reasons. And I don't think we did it anyway, but he asked that question.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to make sure we have an answer to that.
Yeah, the property line is not us.
It's not our bailiwick.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, do you think that it was in Ryan's role to go if Fairmount called him to get involved in this?
No.
It would be his role, once a survey is established, to see what the situation is, to see if he has any involvement in it. Does that answer your question? we got to know where the boundary lines are first. Ideally, you have a recorded survey, we start there,
Right.
and that's where we should start.
So if this was to occur again, it would be maybe in the office's best interest to make sure that the surveyor's there to represent the document that he's made.
It would be in the person applying for the variance's best interest to make sure that surveyor's there. Yes,
Okay,
if that
So,
helps.
and again, the information I had from Randall Miller was they put the two surveys together, got it corrected and re-recorded both of them.
And I also have seen that email because I was
And-
copied on
Yeah,
that.
so
And
as
he
far as
did
we
say
know,
that. I've
it
seen
was
it.
correct when I was there.
And we have to go by what he says.
well, I guess what I'd recommend to you is to be an observer and not a participant.
Right.
this time.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's probably what happened.
Yeah,
Okay,
Well,
Mhm.
okay.
I mean, the right of
Exactly
way is a town of Fairmount. It's not area plan sending him letter.
and,
It's the town of Fairmount.
and I don't,
State that for our best interest,
Yeah.
be an observer, not a
Yeah.
participant.
I think for a public employee, like Mr. Lott is, to tell me that if I take that sign down, he's gonna fine me $500, but don't worry about it, you can afford it. I think that's a public official getting paid by the taxpayers should not be able to talk to a taxpayer that way. He shouldn't say something like that to a taxpayer. I mean, if I've got questions, don't tell me that if you do something, I'm gonna fine you $500, whether you like it or not. That's,
So he almost
Bill,
feels,
if I came off that way, I apologize, but as you know, you have sat in my office for 4 or 5 hours and we've talked.
yeah, but you did. You come off that way. And I said, why? And you said, we just put it there because of, and if you take it down, I'm gonna fine you $500. And then you said, but don't worry about it, you can afford it. It's just like they tell me get a survey that I spend $3,500 or $4,000 for, and then all of a sudden well, we gotta get another survey. Somebody else has gotta do something different. Well, it's a recorded survey in the surveyor's, in the recorder's office, but yet it's gotta prolong to where it just continues and continues and continues. It's gotta stop some damn time.
Mhm.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, again, we need to be careful when we issue permits that we check. If something looks questionable, like it's very close, we should check it out more carefully. At this time, I would like to have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Go get water out my car, save my chair.
That doesn't sit too well with me, because to me, when he said, get the people, the survey. Survey. It's Brian's down to do anything, will observe.
No,
And threatening, next day, it's like that. You're
I think this.
well, you're talking about.
The only person that,
I mean, discuss.
I sent it up there, that's the only one we had about.
Read it, Southside.
Survey.
That's why I tried to say, I said, hopefully I'll help.
This should be surveys.
What's up, Stephen?
How's David?
Excellent.
Good, good, good.
Doing well yourself.
Different survey is good.
Together, we're again.
Well, yeah, for me, Tom. What are you talking about?
This is.
No.
Oh, you're not talking about that. No. That's not long, is it?
Yeah, I've got more announcements than anything.
I did them first.
Well, I just.
You're over here. Both of you actually. Yes, you're right. You're sitting here in this part. This is a very.
I don't think.
Right here, and we won't have to worry about people walking around with labels. Are you guys want to back sit up here?
Okay. How you doing?
But yes, that was right.
Imagine you took that big post office.
Yeah, that's, I don't think that's all.
So you got your glasses back?
I did, thank you. Yeah, after that, I was.
I get it.
So I come back for week 2 and deserve this. Right?
Put some nice clothes.
Huh.
Excuse me, lady. Should we have?
Hey, Brian, I didn't get a packet this month. I got an electronic one, but I didn't get one in the mail. Should I
You
have
guys,
one in the
there's
mail?
a table there. Could you guys?
So weird. Well, we usually.
There we go. I didn't know how right.
Got the wall right in the chair inside.
Since,
Yeah, I've gotten one before. This is the
Go
first
that
time.
way. That, this looks like a tight.
Mel hasn't been bad lately, but yes, one time, should have been 2 days after the meeting.
Very.
Pending off this. Really delayed. Yeah.
3 people.
But that's why we tried to email too.
Right,
We have some members who don't have email.
right.
We have extra packages. Extra package for the ADC.
I don't know.